Hey, good afternoon. This is Jonathan Albin, NycosRPG, also known as Game Master J, and today we're doing an episode for Distant Suns. This is the beginning of a series I'm going to be doing on prepping for games. I know a lot of people are getting, concerned with end of time and doing prep for the end of the world, but every day is the end of a world, I suppose, in a fantasy setting or a role-play setting. So today we're going to be looking at preparing for Distant Suns, NycosRPG, science fiction, fantasy, specifically in space. Today I'm going to be putting together just the gear I take with me on sessions. If you want to join us, we're at Board Games Paradise, who is our sponsor. That's the logo down here in the corner. Board Game Paradise is a full-function game store in Redlands, California. And you can go to boardgameparadise.com or to their Facebook page on at Board Games Paradise to get an idea of their schedule and find out when our sessions are being held. I do run games Friday nights at the store, which is what I'm prepping to do right now. I assume that it's Friday. Yes, it is. It's definitely a Friday. So before we get started, the first thing I wanted to talk about is my prep. The first thing I prep with is my gamer vest. Now, they also call this a first-person shot vest because it's thought to be, you're more amply prepared than somebody else, and so therefore you might be targeted and whatever. But I consider just my game accessory vest because it carries everything I need all on my person, of course, except for the books, which have to be carried in a book bag. But before we get going on that, let me talk about preparation. First thing I prepare for is I carry some business cards because I don't know when I'm going to be meeting somebody new who wants to get into a session, wants to connect. So by the way, I do want to take a quick second to, I already mentioned the sponsor. Make sure that if you like what you see in this video, that you click the follow button down below, the like button, and all of that good jazz, so that it helps with the AI, and it also gets information out to the world about what we're doing. And I shouldn't say AI yet, just call it the algorithm. Alrighty, so Distant Suns is a fantasy setting in the science fiction realm, spacecraft. Think any of the most recent motion pictures dealing with spacecraft and all of that, and you'll get an idea of where we're going with this. But before we get going on all that, let's also look at the things I carry with me all the time. I'll grab them from my little invisible shelf over here. First thing I carry with me is a set of dice. I do carry a full set of 8 standard dice and an extra D20 of an alternating color, so that way if I have to be sharing it. I do carry also usually a share pack of other dice for other people, but I generally carry my personal ones that I carry with me, and these are ChessX, by the way. I definitely represent that brand as a unsolicited endorsement. I recommend them, but there's no requirement to purchase them, or I'm not getting paid to do that. So I carry a couple of pencils. I carry them out here visible where I can get to them, and also so that other people can see that I've got one, so that I can help them get their character sheets put together and whatever. Now, the persona sheets, persona packs in NycosRPG is a little bit more involved. There's a lot more potential information. So usually, if you hand out your pencil for the day, you're not going to get it back. So I always came up here in the front so I can double check my account to make sure that I have all of them at the end of the session. Pencils are absolutely indispensable in a game where your attributes are constantly changing and you're advancing every second. So, next thing I carry with me, I already mentioned the dice pack. I do carry also dry erase markers, a collection of them, and 3x5 cards. I use the 3x5 cards as player table tents so that we can learn the characters' names, and also as a way to incite people to return session over session, because if they have something invested in the game, they'll definitely come back. And a table tent is a way to definitely do that. I carry it in a small pack so that I can carry it also in an outer pocket of the vest as necessary. And I usually have 2 of the thin line dry erase markers, and I also tend to have 1 or 2 of the thick markers because you never know when you're going to need them. The next thing that I bring with me, of course, would be a boogie board or a marker board where you can write. I don't know if you're able to see that. Probably not. It's an invisible board. But it allows me to write information on the sheet, maintain that over the time of the game, and then when I'm ready to switch games, I can hit a delete button and reset it up for the next one. Usually I use this for carrying information on the NPCs. I'll have a list of names to be used for locations. I'll list the names for personnel, list the name for, in this case, starships, etc. But generally it's just a quick list and an access that I can use over and over again. I highly recommend these. They come in a variety of sizes. I also carry a smaller one for tracking points and fuel and that kind of resource on a short tab, so it doesn't interfere with my overall large tab. Of course, you have to have a copy of your rules. In this case, I don't have a cover yet because we're in the layout process for that one. That is the Distant Suns book, which is probably going to be slated to be out somewhere around December. So watch for that in your stores, and also you'll be able to purchase it from us directly. I also carry a clipboard, and the reason why I carry a clipboard, yes, it makes me look official, and it looks like I'm out doing census reporting or analysis or something, but I use it to carry around persona packs so that I've got everything that the characters need, and I keep usually 6 to 10 of those in my person anytime, because you don't know when you're going to be teaching somebody new how to play, and it's nice to have their own persona pack when they leave the game. Alrighty, the next thing that I bring with me at just about every session, one way or another. Now I'm going to be showing you a product in particular. This is again a unfinanced or unsolicited endorsement, but the Immersive Battle Maps book. They have several different ones. There's 2 in particular that I have, which is this science fiction one, and they also have a fantasy setting book. It's 60 fold-out maps, and I'll go into more detail in another video about that, but I just definitely want to know that you include something that's a visual representation of where you are, helps the players feel like they're part of the story. Finally, on an event where I'm going to a store, I will bring with me miniatures to represent the vessels and such, and I happen to prefer to use ones that are to scale with the map that I set up. So in this case, they're very small. These are small little craft that you can use to represent different alien species or regular, mortals and the different kinds of jobs that we do in space. But I carry miniatures around with me. I also carry something to use as alien terrain. When you're doing a sci-fi game, you can't hardly ever run it specifically on a Terran world because that's boring and such like. But I use different forms of 3D visual terrain, like that's a crater. But then I've also got, again, for different scales, I've got the larger craters so that we can do individual scenes and such. And while these come from different manufacturers for different properties or whatever, because it's a role-play game and I'm playing fairly fast and loose, I don't necessarily worry about which manufacturer I'm supporting. But I do recommend having some form of terrain, whether you make it yourself or not, and I'll be doing videos on that as well. Let's see, finally, I have to carry throwing pencils on the floor. That's always a good thing. I carry a phone and a bipod because therefore if I carry the pod, at least that way I can set my phone up and capture moments directly. I also like to stay in contact with my player base and such, so feel free to send me messages because I'll respond to them as quickly as I can. Let's see, and then finally I use a die rolling surface. These can vary quite extensively. You can have an individual die rolling box, or you can use a full size mat. I tend to use a slate black one because it's easier it's more clear to see the dice on the table, and more importantly, it doesn't detract from the storyline or the ambiance of wherever you're playing. So if you use a neutral color or black, you're able to prevent being confused or distracting your players from the ambiance of the story. Alrighty, so I've got to get ready to go here. I'm going to be leaving in about a minute to get to my event. It's 6 p.m. tonight at the store in Redlands. It's on State Street. I'm not going to give you the address. I think it's 109. But it's on State Street in Redlands. And we operate... Oh, there's my timer telling me it's time to go. It's $10 fee for the table at the store. Your first session is always free with me, so make sure you check in with me when you get there. We operate 6 o'clock till 10 p.m. on Friday nights. And we have other sessions on Monday night, which is fantasy setting, Dark Shards, and our Tuesday night game, which is Downshift, which is post-apocalyptic and futuristic. So in any of these cases, thank you for watching this video. Again, if you like what you saw, make sure you click the like button below. And otherwise, I will see you at the table at some point. You're more than welcome to show up at any time. I'm Jonathan Albin, Game Master J, and I'll talk to you soon.